So Devotees to Srila Prabhupada, which is in all the assembled Vaishnavas, Mrs. Keepers and greetings.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Mataji, Danat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Very nice to hear your sweet voice, Mataji. I was thinking who joined as Bhakti Sangha, the other one. That's you, okay. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada. This is Vilasniti from Atlanta. Thank you, Sushmita Mataji, for the very, very beautiful chanting in the morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasni Mataji, Danat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining, and all glories to your wonderful services. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead. Yeah, Revati Priya Mataji joined. Hare Krishna, Revati Priya Mataji, Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Anybody want to announce their name? Please go ahead. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, 10th chapter, 47 to 57 verses. Before we hand over the call to Prabhu, I would like to read today's Srila Prabhupada's quote, 23rd April. Krishna is dancing. You have seen similarly, your position is simply, you have seen similarly, our position is simply dancing with Krishna and being happy. That's our position. But we have come to this material world to enjoy independently of Krishna. Therefore, we have been captured by the illusionary energy. Hyderabad, April 23rd, 1974. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Very well. Very beautiful quote for today. I think Prabhuji is not yet joined. We'll pause the recording here. And I can chant for some time until Prabhuji joins. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah, Prabhuji joined. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat. I now hand over the call. Hope you have celebrated very nicely, Vyasa Puja, Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in the Vaishnavas Association. And yes, we had a wonderful Vyasa Puja here in Mumbai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Caitanya Bhagavata, and we are reading from Madhya Khanda, chapter 10, text 47 to 57. As usual, we will read the shloka and translation, and then we will get going on the discussions. This chapter 10 is the conclusion of Lord's Mahaprakasha's pastime, and we will start from verse number 47. Bhakta bhadaite se Thakura bala jane ki na bhale ki na kare bhakter karane. The Lord is expert in glorifying his devotees. What is there that he does not say or do for the sake of his devotees? Text 48. For this, okay. Jvalanta anala prabhu bhakta lagi khaya bhaktera kinkarahaya apana ichaya. For the sake of his devotees, the Lord eats blazing fire, and out of his sweet will, he becomes their servant. Bhakta Bhai Krishnara Kichu Nai Jane Bhaktera Samana Nahi Ananta Bhuvane. Lord Krishna does not know anything other than his devotees. In all the universes, there is nothing he considers equal to his devotees. Text 50. Hena Krishna Bhakta Name Napaya Santosham Sehi Sabha Papire Lakila Daiva Dosha. Anyone who is not pleased by hearing the names of such devotees of Krishna is sinful and cursed by the laws of the providence. Text 51. Bhaktera Mahima Bhai Deka Chakshu Bhari Kiba Leela Haridasa Prati Gaura Hari. O brothers, behold the glories of the devotees to full satisfaction of your eyes, and hear what Gaura Hari said to Haridasa. Text 52 through 55. Prabhu Mukhe Suni Mahakarunya Vachanam Murchita Padila Haridasa Tatakshanam Bahya Dure Gela Bhumi Tale Haridasa Anande Dubila Tilar Deka Nahi Swasam Prabhu Bale Uta Uta Mura Haridasa Manorata Bhari Deka Amara Prakasha Bahya Pai Haridasa Prabhura Vachane Kata Rupa Darshana Karaya Krandane. After hearing those most compassionate words from the mouth of the Lord, Haridasa immediately fell unconscious to the ground as he lost external consciousness and merged in the ocean of ecstasy. His breathing completely stopped. The Lord then said, "Get up, get up." Text 56. Sakala angane padi gada gadiyaya mahashwasa vahe kshane kshane murchapaya. Haridasa rolled about the entire courtyard. One moment he breathed heavily, and the next moment he lost consciousness. Mahavesha haila haridasera sharire Caitanya karaya stira thabuna histire. Haridasa was overwhelmed with ecstasy, although Lord Chaitanya tried to pacify him, he could not remain calm. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, as we know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is having his private time, wonderful moments with his confidential associates, and he is giving them so much of love, acknowledging all they had done for him, and giving them what is considered as the most valuable gift, which is to give himself. And in the process, the Lord is encouraging, inspiring, motivating, giving hopes to all practicing devotees. And in the process, it is getting very much revealed that what is the basis of our Krishna consciousness. In Padma Purana, there is a very interesting conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna is telling Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, please note, if the sun is rising, the climates are changing, the monsoon is coming, and all that natural resources are in place, is not just because of my presence. It is to be noted that it is because of my devotees' presence in my life. Even to an extent, if I am existing, it is also because of my devotees. So, these chapters where the Lord is performing some interesting pastimes, an interesting dialogue with these great personalities, they are not just some set of emotional statements made out of formality. A unique relationship between the Lord and his dear devotees is so unique, that no one can understand but for the Lord and but for devotee. If anybody is trying to even comprehend, they just simply gets confused. The topmost of all those devotees, the topmost of all those servitor is our dearest Srimati Radharani. So the whole Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela began because the Lord is not able to see himself without his dear devotees. one Prabhupada disciple, I don't remember, his name and when this conversation happened, but I very clearly remember that he said, when you look at all the BBT pictures, where how Krishna is represented, why Srila Prabhupada took particular care and interest in seeing to that every picture of Krishna is in line with our Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was mentioning, can you identify one picture of Krishna where he is alone? Because Krishna is never alone. Only those who are materialists, those who do not have complete understanding of the Supreme Lord, they make the picture of the Lord, according to their own whims and fancies, but not the devotees, because Krishna is never alone. He is always surrounded by his devotees. And in our head, devotees means human form. No, all Vrindavan Vasis, peacock, parrot, birds, cow, calves, he's never alone. His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj once mentioned in a class where how Krishna is feeling when he is with his devotees, especially when he is with Srimati Radharani. Said Krishna is so elated, he feels so nice, so at home, so comfortable, that he always longed to be with his dearest devotees. When it comes to Srimati Radharani, it is explained he had some unique kind of feelings for her. And then Maharaj was explaining, just for a side glance, glance of Srimati Radharani, if just Srimati Radharani gives her, side glance towards Krishna, Krishna go crazy. And that Krishna whose side glance can create and destroy universe, can bring an annihilation, can change anybody's history just for a side glance. And that Krishna gets captivated, really go mad when Srimati Radharani, sees him like that. And what to speak of, she's seeing, even if her pallu, if her top cloth that she's wearing, touches him, he gets goosebumps. And then Maharaj was explaining that in our temple, one of the reasons why we see to that Radha and Krishna's dressing, we pin up or we try to touch Srimati Radharani's cloth with Krishna, is because Krishna feels so wonderful, so nice, so happy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is bringing in that mood. He is demonstrating that my devotees are my life. Without my devotees, my mission is incomplete. He is not coming and showing off his, what we call in Hindi, Bhagavan Giri. I mean, he's not trying to show something that he is Bhagavan. Rather, he's trying to make sure every one of his devotees are glorified. Apart from Siksashtakam, there was no philosophical instructions or contributions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made public. But he made sure Ramananda Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Haridasa Thakura, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all the great personalities, he made sure they offered some significant contribution and they are glorified. Like a dearest father. So this context where Krishna is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now beginning to glorify our Haridasa Thakura. These glorifications are not just, not just some what we call as mental concoction. These are all pure, full of emotions, completely, from the core of his heart. He says that I have descended from Vaikuntha. Now, one of the reasons I descended from Vaikuntha, that I saw you, you were beaten up, you were being humiliated. And yet, you wished good for them. You made sure that you are not hating them. So looking at that tendency, I really felt that, so he kept on glorifying. And these set of verses that we are discussing today are glorification of Haridasa Thakura, glorification of the Lord's mood towards his dearest devotees. So Vrindavan Das Thakura is explaining how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dealing and how his heart is. So we are going to learn this particular context, learn some lessons as usual for our own purification and for establishing what we call as the foundation or the baseline, like how chanting, without which our Krishna consciousness is incomplete. Similarly, without Vaishnavas, our chanting is also incomplete, our Krishna consciousness is also incomplete. So, my first reflection on the current context is about Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura's glorification about a sadhu. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, when he is explaining about sadhu, he is explaining 4 types of sadhu. And these 4 types of sadhu is unique in their own way, and they are not meant as comparable or one is better than the other. All of them are unique, all of them are special, but each of them have brought in some dimensions. So number 1, he's saying a person, one who overlooks the faults and sees the good qualities in someone. Because Haridasa Thakura has been glorified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Out of all the qualities of him, he highlighted them, specifically. So, it is explained as Mahattara, meaning one who overlooks the faults and sees the good qualities. Mahattara. We are the other way around. We make sure that we see others' faults, and on the weightage of those faults, we tend to overlook someone's good qualities. We'll come to that. So, the first category of a sadhu, according to Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, is about how one deal with certain good qualities and someone's faults. Just by this comparison only, he is giving different layers of sadhu. So Mahatara is one who overlooks the faults and sees the good qualities. Then he says there is a person called Mahatma. He says takes small good qualities and magnifies them and not seeing small faults also. So Mahatma, according to Vaishnavas Thakura, is one who takes small good qualities, even something very small. We hear from Ramachandra, glorifying the squirrel, small good qualities. In comparison to, so many other things, he just witnessed that squirrel carrying a pebble. Just little bit help. Srila Prabhupada, why is the whole world classified as American boys and girls in 1960s as a rejected, uncultured? Srila Prabhupada saw that they are searching for truth and they are definitely potential to transform this whole world because they have, he saw something in them. Jagai and Madai. So we can go on and on and on and on. Jesus Christ, Haridasa Thakura, Mahatma. The third is Ati Mahatma, is see good qualities in others where there are none. A person may not have any good qualities, but still has to see something. Like in Jagai and Madai pastimes, when Madai was going to beat Nityananda Prabhu for the second time, Jagai stopped. And when Mahaprabhu was expressing his anger, Nityananda Prabhu is glorifying that as a great quality. Do you know, my dear brother, this guy is so nice. He stopped Madai from beating me for the second time. Just hearing that, Caitanya Mahaprabhu forgave him. Ati Mahatma, one who sees good qualities in someone where there are none. Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't take any offense about his dad. He's rather trying to seek forgiveness. So my first realization is about the glories of the devotees whose presence in our life is very important because we have been embracing materialistic things. We have been embracing Maya. We have been in Maya forgetting about our constitutional nature, constitutional position, and which these devotees are kind enough to step down to our level rather than taking offense to our action. They are being very kind upon ourselves, extending themselves to us and giving us hopes. So whilst here the conversation is about Haridasa Thakura and Vishwanath Chakravarti, Vrindavan Das Thakura is extending that. And he is giving certain his realizations. These all verses are, from 47 through 51 or 52. He's talking about his realizations where the Lord is expert in glorifying his devotees. Brahmanda tarite shakti tare jane jane ye veda purane gunagaye jeva sune. The Lord can perform any amount of extraordinary activities himself, but he is operating it through his dear devotees. So these are three. I originally said 4 categories. It's actually 3 categories about the sadhus that Vaishnavas Chakravarti Thakura are explaining. The second set of realization is about the types of asadhu, the types of people this world is filled with. Again, Vaishnavas Chakravarti Thakura is explaining them. The reason why we are discussing about this types of people, types of asadhus, because sometimes to substantiate, to glorify, to present a product, they might also have to give a perspective in comparison to all the other products existing. When Srila Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita as it is, first Srila Prabhupada presented how glorious his offerings and the explanation coming in the parampara are. And he did warn us about other bogus presentations. So the similar line, my second reflection that I want to register in this context is, for the sake of the devotees, the Lord is ready to eat, blazing fire that happened in Vrindavan when Vasudeva not Vasudeva, when Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maya and the entire boys of Vrindavan, when they were in trouble, when they got a forest fire. So Krishna saved them. So he's ready to take any risk. He's ready to lift Giriraj Govardhan. He's ready to jump in Yamuna. He's ready to get in the mouth of Aghasura. He's trying to do anything for his devotees to lift the wheel of the chariot to go and attack Bhishma Pitamaha because he was trying to attack Arjuna. He's even trying to help Arjuna because in the Mahabharata war there were several things that he did which is outside of what is called as the law of the nature. He suddenly brought sunset. He suddenly made Dronacharya leave the field by tricking, saying that Aswatthama Ataha Kunjaraha. So Krishna has gone out of the way. So just to understand the glories about the devotees, I also want to talk about asadhus and warn each and every one of us to be careful with those asadhus, because if for some reason, if we are not careful enough with these asadhu qualities, we may tend to miss the sadhu in our life. That's the reason I'm bringing this. There are 4 types of asadhu that Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakura is saying. First is asadhu, things that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. The person who is out of enviousness, out of pride, out of ego, He waits for someone to make mistakes. Para dukkha sukhi. He waits for someone who is apparently glorified. When something goes wrong or when some faults happen, he gets some, a feeling of happiness. Asadu tara, second category, he sees faults only, overlooking good qualities. We have got plenty of experience, but the reason this has been spoken about is not to validate those experiences alone. It is also to cross-check if we have these viruses within ourselves, because these viruses can only be the reason wherein we mistake a sadhu, a mahatma, mahatara, ati mahatma, ati mahatara. So we should not miss our golden opportunity. So asadu tara means one who sees faults only, overlooking the good qualities. The third, Vaishnava Thakura says is asadu tama, takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. Just imagine, acharyas spending time on these topics, going detail. It is to help us. Thus, they could have superficially said that, okay, sadhu sangha, asadu sangha tyaga. So they could have just superficially said and moved on. But we will see Srila Thakura, Shradas Kaviraj Goswami, Vrindavan Das Thakura, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, all the acharyas, their presentation about the science of Krishna consciousness is sometimes might feel technical, but they are very much, with the mood that let these, details be known, so that people, devotees, aspirants can be well informed about the risks as well as about the benefits. So, asadu tara is one who sees faults only, overlooking good qualities. But the third is asadu tama, takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. And is giving the fourth type of asadu. Ati asadu tama, sees only faults in others, even when there are no faults. Ulta, the exact opposite of ati mahatma. Poundraka, looking at Krishna. A Poundraka pointing fingers at Krishna, saying that, oh, Krishna is bad. Shishupala. So they are all little envious people. Even in the Supreme Lord, they can find faults. So my second reflection is that in our devotional journey, what stops us in progressing, or what literally brings our progress to a halt, is Vaishnava Aparadha. And Vaishnava Aparadha means mistaking, misunderstanding, and eventually offending a Vaishnava. And offending a Vaishnava happens because of these four qualities: being a asadu, or asaduttara, asaduttama, ati asaduttama, or associating with any one of them. That is why a very famous saying in our tradition is, please avoid the association of non-devotees. Asat Sangat Tyaga Yei Vaishnavachara. In Nectar of Instruction also it is very clearly mentioned. Sata Sangat Tyagat Sata Vrite. Asangat. So it is we have to very important, we have to give up those associations. So I want to say that as a matter of fact, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gathered, assembled everyone in Srivas Thakur's house, he handpicked them and assembled them. He is making sure each of them are glorified. He is ensuring that they are very well identified, recognized, so that we as the followers of the Sankirtan mission leave no stones unturned in glorifying the Lord. The ethos of our movement is also into Vaishnava relationships. Our entire Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan mission is based on holy name and Vaishnava relationships. Holy name and Vaishnava relationships. All the other Siddhanta are subservient to that. Vaishnava relationship meaning serving them, glorifying them, worshipping them, depending on them, hearing from them, surrendering to them, offering all our services towards them, and being sure that we will not have any adulteration in the process. So we spoke about 3 types of sadhus: saints, Vaishnavas, devotees, and 4 types of asadhu. Especially this is explained to highlight sometimes in Kali Yuga, a person may portray himself as an educated, knowledgeable, qualified, powerful person, but his position will very easily be understood when you hear his words, when you hear his intentions. These glorifications, these points are mentioned by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura in the context of Sati and Daksha's conversation. So Daksha, when he is trying to pose himself as a Prajapati, great person, father-in-law of Lord Shiva, but missing a fundamental aspect of, a common sense to glorify Lord Shiva. So these points are, brought out. I will read few translations from 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which are in line with glorifying Vaishnavas. 12.13-14. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed upon me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. The reason I am reading this is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All the 7 verses, Krishna is explaining about his devotees. 12th chapter is a very interesting chapter. He is explaining the process and is explaining about the people. Before these verses in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained about which is better, and gradation wise he is explaining. And when he is touching on the devotees, he is also explaining different qualities. If I am interested in practicing Krishna consciousness, And if I want to cross-check if I am inculcating the Vaishnava tradition, I can go and cross-check these qualities if they are in me. Not for boasting, but for acquiring them to serve our parampara. So that's my second reflection. The third reflection in this context is about when a Vaishnava is glorified, how does he take? And when a Vaishnava is not glorified, how does the world see him? Verse number 50 of this Madhya Khanda, 10th chapter. Anyone who is not pleased by hearing the names of such devotees of Krishna is sinful and cursed by the laws of providence. This is the very strong statement that Vrindavan Thakura is making. Because it is explained that Vaishnava's qualities are very vivid, very clear, and even demoniac people are able to appreciate them even though they may not follow them. But if somebody is not even able to appreciate them, recognize them, then how fallen such a person would be. I'll give you examples. Kamsa had a wonderful appreciation for Vasudeva. Kauravas had a wonderful appreciation for Yudhishthira Maharaj. So these appreciations by the opponents establishes the person's position much more superior. They are not following because of their own conditioning, but they still know. The whole world knew. Kauravas knew who was Yudhishthira Maharaj. What kind of personality he was. How he is called Dharmaraj. How his words have power. Kamsa knew how great personality was Vasudeva. So the message here is that even apparently enemies, notorious people, they do agree, they do understand, they can also recognize great qualities of devotees. And if somebody is not even able to recognize, then they are further fallen. They are completely, as explained by Vrindavan Thakura, they are cursed by the law of providence. One time, one devotee went to Srila Prabhupada. So this devotee wanted to divorce his wife. Srila Prabhupada had a very strong opinion about maintaining the marriage vows. Srila Prabhupada encouraged his devotee if he can somehow maintain his marriage vows. Somehow the conversation didn't converge, and finally Srila Prabhupada said, all right, you can divorce. All the other devotees who were audience to this conversation, when that devotee left, came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, how come you allowed something that you don't subscribe to, that you don't agree? Srila Prabhupada said that I already saw in him that he has made up his mind to do what he wanted to do, independent of what I am going to suggest. He has already made up his mind to break his marriage vows. I was a bit concerned that if I say him not to break the marriage vows, and if he still go ahead and breaks it, he will do a furthermore grave offense of disobeying the orders of the spiritual master, which will put him in such a difficult situation of not getting spiritual master for several lifetimes. So I thought I will save him from that problem. The idea is that when we tend not to recognize a sadhu, when we try to insult, disobey a sadhu, then it is a big loss to us. So my third reflection is that one who is not able to recognize a sadhu, a Vaishnava, or one who tries to compete with the Vaishnava. In fourth canto Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, in the context of Uddhava, Maitreya, Srila Prabhupada is talking about Maryada Vyadikrama. So in that, Prabhupada is giving a very strong warning how a practicing devotee needs to be very careful in conducting himself. So the carefulness is not just about philosophical understanding and philosophical accuracy, because we want everyone not to bring in some apasampradayic ideologies. So devotees are very particular in making sure that they learn from a proper source. It is not only about knowing the information, the philosophical understanding from a bona fide source. When to present, how to present, how much to present, and when not to present, and how to stay grounded is in itself a science in Krishna consciousness. So I will read this from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.4.26. Uddhava said, "You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world." So the idea is, Vidura somehow wanted to learn, and Uddhava is encouraging him to learn from Maitreya Rishi. Srila Prabhupada makes a very important point in his purport. What he's saying, Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as a spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that, Prabhupada says, the rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well-versed. Prabhupada further says, one should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyadikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's own personal gain and fame. So it's very important that I want to register here that how one should be very careful, and what if somebody misconducts himself, because he says that his entire spiritual life is at stake. On the contrary, how does a Vaishnava accept such appreciation, as it is explained when the verse number 52 through 55, when Vaishnava is appreciated, how does he receive? Haridasa Thakura is almost fainted because they are only hearing that they are being loved, and the love that they receive from the Supreme Lord is enough for them. They are not, attracted to any of the flowery words or any of the, appreciating words. They are not even dwelling on them. It is meant to be stated. It is our duty to appreciate, and it is the height of humility of a Vaishnava. He is hearing about his own glorification and passing it on to the parampara and never holding it with him. So sometimes humility is not about negation or denial. Humility is also about accepting and passing it on to our higher ups. So when a spiritual master is sitting in the Vyasasana and accepting the respects from the disciples, the glorifications of the disciple, it is to be understood, or it is to be, very important to notice, and a person in that stature should maintain this sense of passing it on to the higher authorities. So, in the commentary, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says, for the verse number 52 to 55, on hearing the glories of the devotees from the mouth of Mahaprabhu, Haridasa became overwhelmed with ecstasy and fell unconscious to the ground. Mahaprabhu then helped him regain his external consciousness and ordered him to see his Mahaprakasha pastimes. By the words of the Lord, Haridasa concealed his internal mood and came back to his external senses. As he cried, he then began to consider where he should see Lord's manifestation. The sentiments that one develops when one is on the transcendental platform do not remain present on returning to the external platform. In the external world, one perceives everything in terms of enjoyer and the enjoyed. But in the internal world, one perceives only the object of service and the servants. The self-realized, liberated soul is capable of perceiving the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord displays his worshipable form to him. I have always been advised by some of my seniors that whenever we get an opportunity to be in the assembly of Vaishnavas, the first thing is, apart from offering obeisances and glorifying them and serving them, learn to observe, learn to listen, learn to contemplate on how they deal with various subject matters. Just by observing their actions. Because sometimes we may not understand things in one go, but when we really go deeper after hearing these all wonderful glories about sadhu, asadhu, and all those technical things, we'll say, oh my God, His Divine Grace Gaur Govinda Maharaj, during his last times within ISKCON administrative functions, there were certain conversations going on in GBC, and things were, things were not very, very pleasant. There were some administrative disturbances were there. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he was in, if you read the book called When Good Fortune Arrives, there's a book by Madhavananda Prabhu, who has compiled, along with the help of all his godbrothers, a similar, endeavor to glorify the way we glorify Prabhupada. He was trying to glorify his Guru Maharaj. So in that book, he has mentioned different anecdotes, and during the last times, or even not only last times, during different times, the actions and activities of Gaur Govinda Maharaj was not just not just connected with material world at all. Of course, not everybody could recognize that at that point in time. Later, everybody recognized because with the help of some near and dear disciples, we could hear them. But that's the point. The point is, when we are intelligent enough, when the Vaishnava is living, when he is around us, we will be able to appreciate, we will be able to recognize, we will be able to glorify, we will be able to learn, we will be able to walk, talk, interact, and that will, help us. Why Srila Prabhupada's disciples are able to maintain, whomever is maintaining, they're able to maintain their love for Srila Prabhupada. They have that personal, the personal Midas touch of Prabhupada. Even though they may have their own disagreements in, certain administrative things, but with respect to the process, with respect to their love for Srila Prabhupada, I don't think anybody had contradictions. So the idea is, the third reflection or the, as an important aspect of this particular context is a Vaishnava is so glorious, not just by his conduct and intelligence. He is glorious because he is a chosen one, and the way he responds to these choices is very, very amazing. When we are recognized, when we are glorified, when we are appreciated, we immediately get elated and start to increase our market value. But here we get to see how personalities, great personalities, they are responding to different situations. I'm sure there are more nectars coming our way, but that's all I want to say in today's context. So to put into a summary, we have three sets of reflections. The first set of reflection is about three different types of sadhu, where a sadhu is one who accepts faults in others, since the faults can eventually be transformed into good qualities by certain methods. So one is called Mahatara, one who overlooks the faults and sees the good qualities. Second is Mahatma, one who takes small good qualities and magnifies them, not seeing small faults. Third is Ati Mahatma, Mahatma sees good qualities in others where there are none. And we also discussed about certain nature which we should not inculcate, or we should be careful about of having this asadhutva in us, or not to associate with asadhus, because that may harm, that may deter us from associating and recognizing Vaishnavas in our lives. So there are 4 in number. Asadhu thinks that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Asadhuttara means seeing faults only, overlooking the good qualities. Sadhuttama takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. And Ati Asadhuttama sees only faults in others, even when there are no faults. My third reflection is how a sadhu reflects, reacts when he is recognized. And what about a person who is not able to recognize a sadhu? So we discussed about not recognizing a sadhu is a greatest misfortune upon ourselves, and not only just not recognizing, sometimes how not to not knowing how to conduct ourselves in the association of a sadhu also matters. Sometimes we may know he's a sadhu, but we may not know how we should conduct ourselves. So that's where we saw about Madhya, Vyadikrama, and other things. And a sadhu obviously will try to exhibit utmost humility and try to pass on all the credits to the entire parampara. Technically speaking, a sadhu or a Vaishnava's entire set of qualities are based on how they classify and see good qualities and bad qualities, and their perception towards them in one another. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai, Jai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Are there any questions or comments? I'll be happy to respond.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a beautiful class. Thank you for those classification, sadhu and sadhu, and how, I mean, I can see myself in that four categories where trying to if, see the faults of the devotees. If there is none, and if there is some, we should try to avoid it, but then we trying to point out on that itself instead of seeing good. Very, very beautiful example of Jagai, Madai, and Rama seeing the glories of squirrel, how he was glorifying. So very beautifully explained, Prabhu, so that we can cultivate these good qualities in us and try to see good in everyone and glorify them. Very, very grateful to you, Prabhu. I don't have any questions, but such a beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank
I
you.
will the Jagai Madai past and Srila Prabhupada pastime that you were telling, how you were seeing good in these Westerners when everybody was trying to reject them. Srila Prabhupada has taken them to his heart, and he gave them Krishna consciousness. Today, they are all living blissful because of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a beautiful example. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are opening the forum for the question and answer. If anybody having any questions, realizations, we can take it at this time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the very, very nice, very inspiring class about devotees, about the different types of devotees. I mean, the different levels that you mentioned, and also how even Krishna, and I really like that point when you were mentioning, even Krishna likes to be in the association of his great devotees, and how Prabhupada always gave this instruction that paintings should never be without devotees with Krishna. And you said devotee can be anybody, any of the Vrajavasis, even the parrots and the peacocks. Very, very beautiful, Prabhu. And the entire class was filled with realizations. As always, thank you so much. Very inspired. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Always Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhuji, even I like that point. You started with that, saying that Krishna is not alone always, and we as a devotee should never be alone, should always be with devotees. Never be alone means not to be with anybody else, but be with the devotees. Then we can grow into Krishna consciousness very nicely. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful, beautiful class.
Okay, looks like there are no questions, so probably we can wrap up the session.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo nama. Ananta koti Vaishnavrind ki jai Srila Prabhupada. His Grace Ramgiridhari ki jai.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very inspired class.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much for the wonderful class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you.